I've got one.
I got it recording now.
Yeah,
Thank you.
great.
Shall we proceed with the
Yes.
presentation?
Yes, that's what we're about to do. I'd like to welcome everybody to the 6th Crocodile Specialist Group virtual drone workshop chat. And thank you all for attending. We've got a presenter today, Wynand Viljoen from Gabon. He's the warden of Mayumba National Park, the Marine Reserve of the Great South, and Banio Marine Park in Gabon. And he's agreed to tell us today about his work with using drones for interdiction of applications in protection of wildlife and the habitat in the marine parks. Wynand?
Yeah, hi, nice to meet you all. So do I just share my screen?
Yes, you should be able to share your screen right now.
Okay. So just bear with me. This is the first online thing I've done. Okay, there we go. I'll just skip that. Okay. Yeah, so I'll just introduce you to the 3 parks which I've got here, so you can have an understanding how we use the drones and stuff. So Mayumba National Park is 870 square kilometers, of which it's got a kilometer of coastline, which basically covers the beach. And this is one of the most important beaches probably in Africa for leatherbacks. So we've got 2 research sites here at BOM and Nufesa, where we monitor the amount of turtles which visit the beach every year. And it's been going on for the past 15 years. So there's actually quite a lot of data available. This is the new reserve, the Great South Marine Park. It was announced on the 1st of June in 2017. It's the largest marine reserve in Africa. You can see it's 27,500 square kilometers. So our biggest problem in this reserve is probably industrial fishing. The Banio Marine Reserve is one of the smaller parks. It's basically in just at the entrance of the river mouth in Mayumba. It's only 38 square kilometers. But this is probably one of the reserves which have been hit the hardest because of the density of the population. In December, we arrested in one day 17 illegal fishermen, all foreign nationals, using the drone. So we didn't even leave the office because our office is just on the beach here, and we could gather enough evidence to prosecute them without leaving the site. So the main threats we face in the park at the moment with industrial fishing is boats coming from Congo on the border. So we've got Chinese vessels. The last number we had was that there's an estimate of 150 Chinese vessels in Congo. So they build these vessels quite cheaply, the wooden boats. They bring in Chinese captains and they crew them with Congolese fishermen. And they're quite difficult to spot because they operate within 60 nautical miles from the coast. And at the moment, we're only using small ski boats for patrols. So my biggest boat, which I've got, is 11 meters long, which we normally crew with 8 people. And then you've got artisanal boats. they also mainly from Congo, and then lately we've been getting a lot of Angolans. This Tuesday which just gone, we arrested 8 Angolans fishing. They're actually quite brave because they were fishing about 20 nautical miles from the coast, but with a 40 horsepower motor, which they've crossed the Congo to come into Gabon. This is where it starts to get interesting for us, because at the moment we also have a big threat. I'm actually jumping a few lines, but we have a problem with piracy now in Gabon. It's more and more coming, especially the borders to the north and the borders to the, well, here by us on the south. In January, we had an incident where there was a hijacking just in front of Mayumba, and they shot several people and they killed one on a ship which was cruising towards Nigeria. And this is now a problem for us, because when we go out on patrol, these pirates use the same fishing boats than what the fishermen normally use. So we have to be extremely careful when we approach these vessels. So you can see just in the last year, we had arrested several smugglers and also human traffickers. And these guys, they offer, what's the word? It's actually quite difficult for my rangers because these guys normally carry arms. And at the moment, under the Gabon law, the eco guards don't carry arms. So we have to join forces with the Navy and with the gendarmes when we go out on these missions. So sometimes if the budgets allow it, we've got Navy guys with us. But like, for example, this Tuesday when we went out, the only weapons we had on board was like machetes. So it's quite interesting. And then oil exploration in the park is also a problem, because we had several leaks last year on the main beach. And with the drones, it helps to detect it, especially if you can spot it while it's out at sea. Then we can try to contain it, because it's easier to clean up then. But yeah, so coming to the drones, what we found is obviously it's quite difficult to choose the right drones. Before I was using the Phantom 3 and the Phantom 4s. The problem we had was with battery life, and also at sea, especially on a boat, to just land a drone on boat when the wind pick up with a small gust is quite difficult. So at the moment, I'm using a Mavic 2 Zoom, which seemed to stand up quite well, especially with this, you know, with the anti-glare screen and stuff. It works fairly well. On land, what we found is the small drones work quite good for the eco guys, because when they carry, you know, their backpacks at the moment, it's about 15 kilos with kit. So you can't really put a big drone with that. So all these DJI mini drones, we've got at the moment only one which we use. Works quite well when they cross swamps and areas where they can't really see what lies ahead. Then they just pop the drone up. You know, they can see if there's any people in the vicinity, or if there's a better route to pass through. Yeah, this is one interesting thing. So with the drone add-ons at the moment, I don't know if you're familiar with the water striders, especially on the boats. Sometimes it's quite difficult to land a drone, especially like last week. I forgot the what do you call it? Let me just go back. The flight obstacle avoidance on, and I couldn't land the drone on the boat, and it's with the glare of the sun, it's quite difficult to turn it off at on the screen. So these water striders work quite well if you quickly want to just land on the water and retrieve the drone. Then also these we've been using the ultraviolet lenses. They help to take away the glare a little bit, and obviously the range extenders. You guys are obviously familiar with this because I see you all are using drones. Normally what I do is, like, obviously at sea, we turn off the obstacle avoidance. And then on battery life, I normally don't fly it longer than 60%, just to make sure that if something happens that I can bring the drone back. And it seems to work for us here. And then also, especially on a boat, the return to home function. I've lost the drone with one of my eco guards this way, because sometimes they get in the habits when they're flying, when they're done, they just press return home and they wait for the drone to come back. And when you're on a boat, obviously you drift away from your position. And yeah, I've lost the one drone like that as well. With the older drones, we also tended to use loose drones with noise where birds attack them. But the newer models seem to be a little bit quieter. The next thing for us here is gathering evidence with the drones. More or less what we've done now is I've trained my guys now to make sure that when they take photos that they include the name of the boat, the number of the boat, if they can catch the guys fishing, it's all good for evidence. And then you know, obviously the GPS points and stuff we can gather from the photo afterwards. And then for extracting files, what we found is, because especially with DJI drones, the flight records is not in GPX files. So what we've been using is air data. It's a free website, you just sign up to it, and then we extract all our flight data on that, and it normally comes out you know, in all different formats, and you can download the GPX files, which you can then use into your smart program or whatever program you're using to compile the dossier. Then obviously we do have plans for expansion in other parks. At the moment, we're looking at all the marine parks. So there's several conservators now, especially Porgenty and around Libreville, Pongara, where we're planning to implement the usage of drones. Mainly it started now, before the guys wasn't really interested in it, but this year has been really tight for us with budgets. So we had to, you know, use different alternatives. And since I've been having so much success with the drones, the guys were getting more and more excited now to implement it. And then also we are having a training session in a couple of weeks in Lope, where we have several eco guards from Congo, from Cameroon, and they're all coming together with our eco guards on a training session. And we're going to train them on the usage of drones as well. And we're busy putting a training manual together now, where we can explain to them exactly how to use it, how to maintain it, because it's fairly simple to use. But if you've never been exposed to this type of technologies, you know, even the guys were crashing my drone just outside the office the first time I've tried to let them use it. So yeah, we're basically going to start that soon. And then coming back to Mayumba National Park, last week I've for the first time used the drone in the reconnaissance mission because we've got a problem on the border with the Congo army, which is invading the park. And it's basically about the land dispute because there's so much oil in that area, and the Congolese is every day pushing for a little bit more. And at the moment, they're about 1.5 kilometers inside of Gabon. And obviously at ministry level, they're denying it. But with the drone, I managed to fly in at about 160 meters altitude. And with the zoom, we managed to take decent photos, which we are using now to try and push them back. Because they were digging trenches, put up army tents, and it's quite alarming for us because this zone where they are in, you know, there's a lot of elephants, and it's not really there's no villages or population nearby, so we don't really want that area to be disturbed. And obviously we don't want Congo to come into the park. We are busy now also to speak with Conservateur National Park because they border Mayumba National Park, and we're going to see if we can sign a trans-border agreement where we can cross over if we are pursuing poachers or illegal fishing boats, and they can do vice versa, you know, within certain limits. Yeah, basically that is it. So it's not very long, but hopefully we can start a discussion on this. And we've only been using drones in Mayumba now for probably 8 months. And from within that 8 months, we've received now close to $30,000 in fine. You know, so, and every single case which we presented to the court, they accepted the evidence from the drones. So we were quite surprised because that was our main obstacle, that they would not accept it. But they're quite open-minded, and yeah, so it works out quite well for us here. So we just
I have one.
yes.
My name is Kyle Shaney. I'm from New Mexico Highlands University in the U.S.
Yeah.
Really interesting presentation. Do you have an idea how many illegal fishermen you guys were catching before using drones compared to how many you guys are catching now?
So there was actually the first time I was in Mayumba was in 2013, 2014. So we were catching on average about 7 boats a month for the first, say, 6 months, and then it started to get quiet. And we had about almost an 8-month period where there were nobody coming in. And then I came back here in June last year, and within the period of 2019 and 2020, they had only 1 arrest with the previous conservator, which was in the park. And then when I came in June, I started to use the drone along the beach just to see if there were any boats outside. And then really in December was the month where we started to had a lot of success with the drones. So in December alone, if I take it all together, we were probably about 23 arrests for December last year, of which 17 were in 1 day. And then January quieted down again. January we had only 2. And then all the local fishermen went on strike in January. So they went on strike for about a month. So nobody fished because they were complaining the methods we were using, a drone and stuff like that. So they didn't fish at all. And then my colleague in Conservateur, the Conservateur there, he started to have a lot of success in March probably. And at the moment, currently, Conservateur is on strike. So it was even on national TV, all the fishermen strike, you know. So yeah, it's quite interesting, but it's definitely a huge effect on especially the artisanal fishing. Because we can see the nets with the drone, we can see the boats, we can identify them clearly. And then sometimes we don't even have to send the boat out, because if we know, okay, these boats are from that area, then we can just wait for them when they come back. And that's where the courts came through, because they accept all the evidence which we give from the drones, as long as there's a GPS point, and if you can prove your flight track, then they accept it. So yes, the drones definitely had an impact.
Yeah, it sounds like a really big difference. And that's
yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
And in the park, the Great South Marine Reserve, that's a difficult one for us to patrol, because I've got a ski boat which is 11 meters long. It's only a meter from the, out of the, above the water level. So you don't really see that far. So if I send the drone up 300, 400 meters, I can get a good view on the horizon, and I can see, oh, there's something there. And then at least we know which direction to go into. And then with the pirate issue at the moment, it's definitely increasing at the moment, which is a huge concern for us. So we're waiting from the park now to arm all of us, because my rangers do go through all the normal ranger training, and they train with the SAS and the Royal Marines. They have every year they train with the Americans, with the British, and they do the training with firearms. But when we're in the actual field doing the work, we don't have arms. But we're managing now. This year we should be arming all of our guys now. So at the moment, the drone help us. So if we spot small fishing boats and they look a little bit something wrong, they've got maybe a huge outboard on a small boat, or there's too many guys in a boat, then we send out a drone just to check if it's fishermen or are they carrying weapons before we approach them. Yeah.
Okay. You have a, excuse me, you have a question in the chat.
Yeah.
Kelly, do you have any problem with attempts to damage the drones used, gunshots, or some kind of anything to get rid of the drones?
In the beginning, when I was sending the drone out, for example, in the Banio Park, because there's a lot of people just outside of that, they were throwing stuff at the drone. But then I started to just take it a little bit higher. So yeah, it didn't really make any difference. And then what we did was we had a meeting with the fishermen, and we told them that if they damage the drone or throw stuff at the drone, then they can be charged for damaging government property. And since then, they've left it alone. Obviously, on the Congo, when you fly over a military base with Congolese soldiers, of course they're going to try and shoot at it, but that's a rare occasion, occurrence. We don't really go there often.
Wynand, why don't you tell them about what's happening to the Park Service, that you'll go from managing the parks to managing all of the country of Gabon, all the resources.
Yeah, so what's going to happen now over the next few weeks, they're slowly busy to dismantle the park agency of Gabon. So before we were called Agence National Park Nooks, which is the National Park Agency. And now we are still ANPN, but we are now Agence Nationale pour la Protection de la Nature, which means we play a similar role to what US Fish and Wildlife Service in the United States play, that we are looking over the entire country now. So our jurisdiction just have become bigger. And we've already started to use that now. Last month, just outside of the park in Mayumba, we raided a gold mine, illegal gold mine, which had a lot of Cameroonians in. So we managed to detain everybody, basically destroy the mine and the mining equipment. And then we referred them to the special court. We've got a special wildlife court now in Libreville, which deals with everything wildlife related. So even illegal mining falls under that, because they're destroying the nature wherever they dig for the gold, especially the small river streams. You know, it can be quite destructive. And then all these illegal mining activities, they fund, you know, you always get ivory there. It's just a ripple effect for other wildlife crime.
What happens to the Congolese and Angolan fishermen who are arrested?
Yes. So on Tuesday, we arrested 8 Angolans. They were in a small homemade wooden boat. They were about, I think it's about 10 meters long, with a 40 horsepower Yamaha boat, which they used to cross over Congo into Gabon. So they also now have been transferred to Libreville, which is our capital. It's about 12 hours drive from here by car, and then they go through the court there, and they will probably be fined or deported. It depends if they are involved in other crime as well, because it was quite suspicious, because there are 8 people in a small boat. Normally the fishermen are between 3 and 4 in those type of small boats. So I wouldn't be surprised if they are involved in either being trafficked over the border, and we just accidentally stop them. But yeah, we do get a lot of that at the moment, the small fishing boats.
Wynand, how is the monitoring in neighboring Republic of Congo? Is it like Gabon, or is it much different in terms of capacity to monitor?
No, at the moment, I mean, especially on the border here, Mayumba National Park borders on the Aquatic Reserve. And what we can see is, especially if you're on the border, you can see the boats in Congo, and basically the park is full of little fishing boats, and you can see the Chinese fishing trawlers. So I don't think they are being controlled at the moment. Because before WCS used to be there, as far as I know, they pulled out, and there's a new French NGO which moved in. They actually made contact with us to arrange a meeting, so we haven't had it yet. So hopefully they'll start to patrol again. But for the moment, I don't think there's much happening there.
What kind of drones do you recommend for territorial or terrestrial rangers? Would it be the mini?
Yeah, obviously, I mean, being where I am now, I'm a little bit out of date with the latest drone technology. But normally you get like the DJI mini drones, anything small, compact, which can go easily in a backpack will work, because they don't need necessarily a long range. It's just to take it up and, you know, to be able to see what's lying in front of them. It also helps, especially if it's here where we have a lot of savannas and swamps together, then they can patrol the swampy area with the drone just to see if there's anybody in there, and then they don't have to walk through that. Because normally our boys go out for a 21-day rotation when they go out on in the field, and then we set out, you know, where they will walk, how many kilometers per day. So they normally cover about 10 kilometers a day. It depends on the terrain. But in Mayumba at the moment, of course, I've only got a small coastal strip. So I've got 2 teams which normally stay out permanently in the park. It depends on the season. Like for the turtle season, we normally have people permanently in the park because of the high risk. There's a lot of you know, stealing of eggs on the beach, and this year we will probably, it's not a nice thing to say, but we will probably start to shoot wild domestic dogs, because it's became a problem. They're forming large packs, and then they go on the beach and they dig up you know, eggs, and they catch small duikers, and you know, it's just a pest inside the park. So we were trying to avoid it, but I don't think we will have to start to make a plan with them.
Wynand, when you're patrolling or flying your drone for fishing boats, are y'all free flying the drones, or you put it on a flight plan?
No, if I'm out of sea, I normally just fly it. It depends as well where I am. If I'm way offshore, then normally I don't really fly it that far. I just take it up, because you can see straight away, for, you know, where your vision maybe ends at 15 kilometers. If you take it up, it goes to 30, you know. So it's more just to get a general direction where to go and look for boats. When we are doing on the land, for example, when I'm spying on this Congolese army base, it's a bit risky on foot to do that. So I go by sea, and then I just go behind the breakers with the boat, and I fly the drone out on land, go and see what they're doing there, and then bring it back in. In the smaller park which we have in the Banio Marine Park, we're actually quite lucky. It's not a big park, and I can fly both the river side and the ocean side with one flight normally. It's between 10 and 11 kilometers. So and the drone covered that quite easily. And we don't really have a lot of obstacles here, so you don't have interference with the range on it.
Have you had any issues with people trying to shoot them down?
No, we haven't had that problems yet. We had only people trying to throw stuff at them and stuff like that in the beginning, but now we've learned to, you know, keep them at about 50 meters or so nobody will be able to throw anything at them. I think the closest I've came lately to lost a drone is when I forget to turn off the obstacle avoidance on a boat, and with the glare, when it comes close and you struggle to land it, yeah. So but other than that, we haven't really had any problem with losing drones. Yeah.
Generally, how many batteries do you carry with you when you're going out on land and when you're going out on the water?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, I've got only 3 batteries with me. So when I'm out on the water, if it's only for a day, they normally, you know, it's enough. I do have a car charger now, which I can plug into the boat. and charge it, because sometimes we go out for 2-3 days. Normally with the small boats, the maximum is 3 days. If we stay longer than that, the model of the guys go down a little bit, especially, if it rains at night and stuff, because you don't have much cover. On land, it would have been nice to have a little bit more batteries, because we do run out of batteries quicker on land. Because you tend to use the drone a little bit more, especially if it's for periods of like a week or longer. But we do have 2 camps now in the park where we have solar panels, and normally we work out the schedule so that the guys have, like, after 5 days they can stop at the camp, and then they sleep. We've got like little wooden huts there, and then they stay there, charge all the batteries, also for the cameras, and then they move on. We also now started to use, instead of GPSs, we use Locus Pro. I don't know if you know that. It's a GPS program for smartphones, and it works very similar, well, to your Garmin GPS, but you can take photos and voice notes, and
Called again,
you don't
Ron?
have to carry lithium batteries with you.
What is that called again?
Locus Pro,
LOCUS,
yes.
Locus Pro.
Yeah, you can have the free version, but or you can just pay. It's something like a $5, which you pay once off, and then you own it. And we tend to use that now with the guys to replace the GPS, so they don't have to carry batteries. They carry a battery pack with them. They can charge their smartphone up, and you get the same results. Some places where the forest is a little bit more dense, it doesn't really work that well. But here by us, we haven't had a problem yet. Yeah.
I haven't tried solar panels for charging, have you?
I've got a couple of small solar panels. I think they're about A3 size. We got them about 1.5 years ago, but I'm not sure if the technology have evolved a little bit, because with them you really need to have like proper sunlight. So in the dry season we were struggling to charge anything with them. But we do have the larger solar panels now at the camps, which put out about 1 kilowatt. So they seem to be okay.
Okay. What are the,
No.
sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
I was wondering what the current regulations are concerning use of drones in Gabon.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, because you don't really see them that much for sale here. You can't really find them. You get the little kid toy ones. Last, which I've heard, is that you need a permit if you are filming in Gabon with a drone. But because we're using it for the park service, nobody's going to say anything. I think if you are starting maybe an NGO, you might need to require a permit to use it. But at the moment, yeah, I don't think it concerns us that much. So I do have also custom clearance for drones at the moment. So I don't really, it should be, for us, it's fine. I think if you're coming here to make a movie or something, you would probably be asked a permit.
Or to do research?
Say again?
Or to do research? I know I was telling you earlier about the project that we're trying to do in Tanzania, and we're required to have permits from the civilian air traffic administration. As well as military.
Yeah, yeah, I think it can be difficult. Yeah, luckily, I think because we are, working for we are a government agency, they don't really look at us. Yeah, there are some NGOs. I think Max Planck Institute, they trying to start a drone project to where they search for the chimps and the gorillas nesting sites. So they want to use a thermal camera, but I don't think they've started that, because they were talking about it to start in Luango National Park, because there they've got 2 research camp, one for chimps and one for gorillas, and they wanted to cut down the time which the guys are searching for them in the mornings, by using the thermal cameras on the drones.
Wynand, do you, does your drone work tie into SMART?
Yes. Yeah, so we're using smart as well. So all the data and stuff we can submit into it. Is that what you've asking? Sorry, I didn't hear proper.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm asking.
Okay, yes, yeah.
If it's easier to translate the data from the drone to SMART.
Yeah, it's fairly easy. That's why we've been using that website just to convert the DJI files to GPX files, and then it works fine. I'm not sure if the other drones what format the files are in, but with the DJI drones which I've had, we had to convert them every time. But it's fairly simple to do.
And that's air data.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it works quite well for us.
I have a question.
Yeah.
May I?
Yeah,
yeah. When you find a boat, you are flying and you find a boat, you start chasing it on the water, or you wait until they reach the coast to get the police or the enforcement?
Yeah, it depends on where we are. So if it's in, for example, the park, which is on the coast here, the Banio Marine Reserve, if we see it's a local boat, because you can identify the numbers and stuff, then we know, okay, these guys are coming back. They just went out to put their nets. They're coming back. And then we just wait for them at the dock. So we don't physically have to send the boat out. If it's on the border, like in the Great South Marine Park or in Mayumba National Park, there we chase the boats and we capture them. So in Mayumba National Park, all boats which we see there, we normally chase them down, we arrest them. In the ground south, obviously there you have to be a little bit careful if it's in international waters, because boats are still allowed to cross the park. So you have to have the enough evidence if you do arrest them, so it keeps up in court. So there we make sure that it's always better to catch them with the nets out, or if they put the anchor down, or you basically have to catch them in the act. If the boat looks like a pirate boat, which we do get, the Chinese normally comes in with their trawlers and they cover the names with a cloth. Then obviously there's something wrong, and those boats you can arrest straight away. And they normally don't have any papers on them. Normally they don't have any identification. We had some Chinese boats in the past which had, you could say, like almost slave people working for them, from Indonesians, and they don't have papers. The captain hides the papers, or, so So there's a lot of strange things happening out at sea. But yeah, no, we normally, depends. The two parks on the border, there we chase the guys down.
Thank you. Raymond, there is a question on the chat.
Yes, I was about to do that. In the chat, Anna asked, how do seabirds react to the drones? Have you had any inconveniencing of the seabirds?
Seabirds, to be honest, not really. No, the seabirds normally they don't care about the drones. It's only when we are on land. Normally, the big vultures, they normally sometimes they attack the drone. When I was using the phantom range, they tend to make a lot of more noise, which the birds don't like. They used to chase them more. With the Mavics, I don't know if there's a difference in sound, but they tend to leave them alone. But yeah, we only had one drone which we lost with a bird, and that was in Mayumba National Park with a palm nut vulture. But yeah, normally the birds tend to leave the drones alone. And we're also flying at an altitude normally where the seabirds, they are not, you know, I always try to keep it up to about 300 to 500 meters, the maximum normally. If we do spot a fishing boat, then I'll bring the drone down just next to it so we can identify the boat. So I hardly ever come down under 100 meters with it. Especially with the zoom which we've got now. So that makes a huge difference.
Yes, it does.
Mm.
Just out of curiosity, are there any active sea turtle research projects going on at Mayumba?
Sea turtle.
Yes.
Yes. So we've got two camps in Mayumba Bum, which is in like the middle of Mayumba National Park, and then Nifesa, which is on the border. And normally every year the guys will leave here in August to go to the camps, and then they stay there for the entire turtle season, and they walk the beach every morning and evening, and then count and mark the nest. So I don't know if you know Angela for me.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
So we're working with Angela, and yeah, this year which have gone, it was quite difficult with funding because he didn't have funding to work in the park. And then I managed to divert some of my funding for her, so we had like half a season. But already now for the next season, it looks better now. So we will probably have the guys there for the season as well.
great.
But yeah, other research at the moment is we don't have much happening in the park. Since this coronavirus has started, it obviously has affected a lot of movement of people as well. So you don't have a lot of students or anything coming here at the moment. But we're hoping for that to change this year. We've also have a new park office here now, which we've opened probably 2-3 months ago. So we are busy to make a museum basically for tourism and for the local school kids, where they can come and get information of the park, and to see a little bit of a documentation of their history as well. And then part of that, we are planning to make an aquarium, because this area is, marine parks. We are planning to make an aquarium, but not an actual aquarium. We are going to make replicas of you know, like fiberglass replicas with all the different fish names and stuff, nice photos, and we're planning to set something up like that, mainly for the local school children, to get them a little bit more involved, and then obviously visiting schools, etc.
Walter is asking in the chat, what is the interest of other rangers and the Parks Department in the use of drones for patrols?
What is the interest?
Yes, you're getting a lot of interest from other parks and their rangers in the use of patrols. I think earlier you were telling me that you had some trainings planned.
Yeah, so at the moment we've got a training going on in Lope. So they're doing different phases of training there. So we've got eco guards from several parts of Gabon, which is there now. And then we've got some visitors from the neighboring countries, from Cameroon and Congo, which will be coming in for the second phase. And there we're going to have a couple of days where we will start to train them on the usage of drones, and obviously explain to them the benefits on how to use them, where to use them, and then how to gather information using the drones. And then obviously the guys are always excited, you know, especially when there's toys involved. So yeah. But at the moment, the big problem we face is just to get the drones in here. You know, with all the restrictions and stuff, there's not many people flying in to bring the drones over.
Wayne, I was going to mention to you, you know, they make wetsuits for the Phantom 4s that makes them a little bit more water resistant.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that could work in the rainy season here. Yeah.
yeah, rainy season, and you know, if you're landing in water, you always have that, you know, risk of getting them wet, but they do have a wetsuit that fits
Yeah.
on them.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, that could work quite well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you see any illegal activity in the Akaka region? Well, I've been there before, and I think there was talk of illegal fishermen or poachers using the river at night to transport meat.
Yeah. Well, I've worked obviously in Luangu National Park for about 5 years. So before I got stationed here last year, I was in Luangu Park, and the Akaka River. Then we had, I think the last incident we had there was in 2017, where you had poachers which came in, and they shot 3 elephants, and they left. And we were thinking at the moment they were probably part of a syndicate, because we patrolled that area heavily and they didn't come back again.
Yeah.
And then after that, what we did was we set up a lot of camera traps, because the river is quite narrow, so you can see if people go in and out. And I think that deterred the situation a little bit. So we didn't had a problem again after that. And then also it helps because before they were letting the local villagers fish for certain periods of time in the Aquatique River, and that basically now is stopped as well. So there's no more fishing allowed in that area. It's permanently closed. So that helps a lot, because then there's no more boats apart from tourism boats going up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's they're busy building new lodges and stuff there now as well. So there's a lot more tourism going on in that area. So once you have tourists, you know, then the illegal activity tends to disappear, because you don't, you know, they don't want to shoot elephants in front of tourists. So, and obviously the locals have more employment as well then. But I think there's 2 lodges being built there at the moment. they're making ready for whenever tourism opens up again.
How many drones do you have, and how often are you able to get them in the air?
Well, to be honest, at the moment in Mayumba, I've only got one drone now working. That's the Mavic drone. So normally every morning here at the office, whoever's here first will take the drone out and fly the Banio Marine Reserve. And then once a week, we try to patrol the border. So at the moment, we are a little bit restricted with budgets. So we don't get to go out every day like we want to, but because to get to the border from Mayumba, it's about 80 kilometers, you know, before we get into our patrol zone where the problem areas are. But yeah, so it's normally every day in the Banio Marine Park, and then at least once a week in the other parks. At the moment, I don't, because it's the only drone I've got, I don't give it to the guys which are doing land patrols. Just in case, you know, the risk to lose it is higher there. Yeah, but the guys in Porgentine, they've got one drone, and in Luangu, I think they also have one drone which they playing, but it's the older models, so they are a little bit restricted with the range, especially with the forest. You lose signal quite quickly.
So are they Mavics or are they the Phantoms?
No, they've got the Phantoms, the older models. Yeah. So yeah, they're quite big to carry around, and then the other place with the forest, you normally tend to get, like, if you get 2 kilometers is quite a lot. Where at sea with the Mavics, which I'm using at the moment, the Mavic, I almost get the 8 kilometers which they claim they get, you know, I almost get it because there's no obstacles. But as soon as you reach the land, it goes down, you know, like 3.5, 4 kilometers on the Mavic.
And Lonnie, the new Evos will go even further, right?
Yeah, from what I understand, they can go up to almost 5 miles. So I'm ready,
Wow.
willing to take that on, and they have Zoom photo and Zoom video both.
Wow.
And they can film in really low light situations also. So I haven't gotten mine up or Walter's up and flying yet. I still got to get it registered, but everybody that I've talked to here locally just raves about them.
That's the Autel Evo?
Yeah.
Evo
The
2.
Yeah, the Evo 2 6K.
And you were saying that they are compatible with the Crystal Sky controller.
Yeah, that's what I've been told, that they're compatible with the Crystal Sky, and they've made some recent upgrades that you can download. I've heard. I don't know for sure about that. That you don't, when you hit return to home, it comes to the controller, not from your takeoff spot.
Yeah.
Which is another improvement, especially if you're using it on boats.
Yeah, that's a good option. Yeah.
That is one of the options that you can use. You can change
Download
to something like I can't remember the name, but it's like fixed return to home or dynamic return to home, something like that. That if you move, you will have your return to home where the radio controller is. So, but you have to set up that option. Even in Phantom 4 or Phantom 3, you were able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I will have to check because especially with the guys here, we had like a few close calls on the boat where they press the return home and then the boat isn't there anymore.
Have, yeah, I think this new Evo is going to be a good one, especially
Yeah.
for a boat.
Yeah. Because it's quite tricky to land because the boats we're using is I don't know if you're familiar with the boats here, but they're 11 meters long, but they're only about 1.5 meters wide. So there's not a lot of space, especially with crew members on board.
Do you
So
ever
it's got
try,
like 1 meter by 1 meter where you can land it on.
do you ever try hand catching?
Yes, with the Phantom series of drones, I've done that. With the Mavic, I've done it normally on land. I hand catch it. The same on boat as well. Yeah. It's just when you forget that I've had one or twice where I forgot the obstacle avoidance, and then it becomes a nightmare on a boat.
Yeah.
Especially if the battery is running low and it's starting to beep.
It's very nerve-wracking.
Yeah. No, but it definitely the drones here have a huge impact on our surveillance. You know, it helps a lot.
It sounds, before the chat, Wynand was telling me that it's a tremendous saving on fuel also.
Yeah, that is our biggest plus point. Because to give you an idea, with the small marine reserve here in Mayumba, if I have to patrol it with a boat, I use about, it depends what boat I'm using, but say I use the smaller one, it's about 80 liters of fuel. If I use the Interceptor, which is our larger boat, it goes to about 140 liters of fuel. And I can do that entire trip with the drone without using the boat. So it's a huge saving if you calculate that, you know, over a long period. And then especially out at sea, you know, when you in the middle of, you know, like 30 nautical miles from the coast, to find a boat, it's like, you know, finding a needle in a haystack, you know, if you can't pick them up on a radar. So there also you save huge amounts of fuel just by getting a general direction to go in.
Do you find that using the drones have added in any way to the safety of your operations?
Yeah, especially on the border where we have the smaller fishing boats, which we get from Congo side, because we don't know who they are. Are they smugglers? Are they traffickers? Are they pirates? Fishermen? So what we do, as soon as if we see through the binoculars, okay, there's maybe too many guys in that boat to be fishermen, or they've got a bigger motor than what the average fisherman normally have, then we will send out a drone to make sure that, you know, they're not pirates, so that when we approach them, that we don't get shot. So.
Have you ever thought about using any fixed wing drones?
We were talking about with Walter about it the other day. So we've got a unused airport here where we can basically take them, fly them from to the border. And the other day we were discussing it, that if we had one on the border of the park, we could use it to fly down the sea border. And especially if you have like a 50 or 60 kilometer range, it could also, you know, save a lot of fuel that way. So we can then just see if there's boats, and whenever there's a boat on the border, we send out our boats to intercept. Yeah, so there's loads of options to use it. And then also in Munkebe, for example, which is in the north. A fixed wing drone there could work wonders to spot illegal camps, because there you've got huge amounts of illegal miners coming over. At the moment, last month they shut down a couple of mines there, but you shut one down today, tomorrow another one pops up somewhere else.
Yeah.
Wynand, where is that again? Up north?
Mayumba National Park.
Lonnie, would the disco work in this situation?
Well, yes and no. The disco will definitely fly a fairly good distance. You set up the flight plan, but you're not going to have real-time video. You'll lose the video on the monitor. Even though it's recording it, you'll have to land the drone, pull the SD card out and review the SD card. But for short distances, you'll still be able to see what's going on in real time. But once you lose contact, the drone will still fly, but you're not going to be, able to view what's going on for a while.
But the camera that you put into the disco would be good for what Wynand is talking about, right?
Yeah, but again, as soon as you lose that signal, you're not going to have it on your monitor. It's recording it. When you land the drone, you can review the SD card. It's not going to stop videoing, but you're not going to be able to see it in real time.
But you can go back and review it and see, okay, there was something there.
What's great about that is you can set up a flight pattern and it will fly the same pattern however many times you want it to. And then you can set up multiple flight patterns, in the same area to get different perspectives. You launch it, you can angle the camera however you want, and it'll fly that pattern.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have a purpose and a use, and just like, every drone seems like there's another use for it. And they're inexpensive. They're very easy to program and to fly. And they're fairly inexpensive. So it's a nice tool to have.
It'd be about $1,000, Lonnie, somewhere in there.
Yeah, between $1,000 and $1,500 for extra batteries and
Guys, I did that on the text YouTube video showing how to set up the dynamic return to home.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. What is the range on that drone?
Some people are testing it, and it's flying, 5-10 miles from what I understand.
Okay.
But what's really interesting though, like I said, when you lose signal, you're not going to get the video live, but people hear that drone going over, so that may make them leave or whatever, but or know that they're being monitored.
Yeah. I don't think in Mayumba that matters that much. It's more just to gather the information.
It's going to gather. It's going to record the video in the brain of the chuck on the drone, but you're just not going to see it live time.
And one the drone that we're talking about is the disco, and it's $1,000 to $1,500, and then we're working with Ray on a fixed wing drone from Malaysia that we hope will fly 30 miles or more, which will to be vertical takeoff and landing, which is a different deal. The disco, you have to land. You can launch it by hand, but then you have to land it in a field or something.
Yes.
You have to have pretty good open space around you to land it.
But it's still
obviously you can set these things up. Now, because we're just looking at something which we can use especially in Mankebe, because they've lost more than half of their elephants there over the last few years, and it's not slowing down. So the only thing is you just have to keep on top of these things. If a camp
Yeah.
pops up here, you have to shut it down as quick as possible, so that eventually these guys get the message.
It's absolutely right.
Yeah.
And just if the knowledge of them seeing a drone fly over may make them nervous enough to leave, if you had one of those discos out there, you could fly it in several different flight plans in the same area, every
Yeah.
day. And they're going to say, man, there's a drone flying over here almost on a daily basis. And, or almost every couple of hours, it flies in from a different direction but it could be a good tool to have.
Yeah.
So let's work on that line. Fixed wing as well.
Pardon?
Let's work on a fixed wing as well.
Okay. Yeah.
And again,
Yeah,
like we were talking about earlier, you can look on Google. They're very easy to program with a flight plan. So that's why I learned it in about 15 minutes. And so,
Yeah, we will probably have people in May, maybe end of May, coming into Gabon, which will be able to bring drones in. The only other option might be, I think I've mentioned it before, we've got Sea Shepherd coming in. They normally come every year for the tuna season, and they work alongside the park to patrol the zones where we can't. And so they also prepared to bring in drones and equipment for us on their ship. So I think they leave port in June and then arrive here in August. But that's out of Spain. So I don't know if it's difficult to get material into Spain.
Yeah, that's a hair challenging. If it was England, it'd be pretty straightforward, I think. Or if somebody buy them in Spain, then I reimburse them, then that would work. But ideal would be somebody coming in to Gabon from the US, from England, from
in England, maybe in end of May, we've got somebody. Donna is coming down.
Yeah, at this point, we're talking about a couple of bags worth. Getting to be a lot of equipment, so it would be at least 2 bags worth. But if there's no problem on the customs side in Gabon, which there would not be, then it seems to me there shouldn't be a problem transporting them.
Yeah, at the moment we've got custom clearance, but they're also changing their things.
Excuse me a second. I'm going to, at this point, end the recording of the chat, and we can stay on and talk. I want to thank everybody for being on, and you can stay on. I'm ending the recording now. This is the end of the recording of our 6th